Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Sermon. Our text today is taken from the Gospel according to St. Mark, chapter 13 and verses 24 to 37. This is the central section in Mark's apocalyptic passage and is recorded similarly in Matthew 24 and Luke 21. It's the tail end of what we call today the Olivet Discourse, and what they would have called at the time, that time Jesus did his talky thing up on the Mount of Olives. This is a section which is really rich in eschatology. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. It's not the end of the world. Actually, yes it is. It's the study of the end times. In amongst the signs of the times, we find one message repeated. Be prepared. For more on this theme, you can check out the Rock Solid talk this week, which is entirely focused on that theme, or my 2011 sermon, Let's Get Ready for Rapture, which is available on YouTube. For us, in this sermon, I'm going to break down our passage into three main sections and deal with some of the difficult themes that make people nervous about studying eschatology. We are going to know the truth so that the truth may set us free to study deeper on our own. I will address the Son of Man title, the parable of the fig tree and why the son doesn't know the hour, and finish up with the parable of the doorkeeper. So, let's kick things off with verses 24 to 27. The context is directly following the tribulation, a period of time of unknown suffering. Though it doesn't sound like fun, neither is it outside the bounds of our imagination, as anyone who has visited Auschwitz or any of the concentration camps knows. It gives a large cosmic event as a backdrop. This is much more than a mere eclipse or meteor shower, which we will recognise when we get there. Then we find verse 26. At that time, people will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. This title, Son of Man, gives some people pause to think, particularly in the 21st century. Is this Jesus claiming to be only a man? Why do we more often refer to him as Son of God? In fact, the opposite of these assumptions is more likely to be true. Son of God is a title which each of us in some way, as Christians, can hold by virtue of adoption into his family. It is a way of saying that we are the elect, human Jews and Christians. Jesus was indeed a Son of God in the sense that he is the human leader of the elect. You could say he is the firstborn of all creation, meaning in first importance, or that he is the first fruit of the kingdom. Of course, Jesus is more than a Son of God in this sense. He is also the Son of God in the sense that he is God the Son, the second person of the ontological Trinity. But his favourite title for himself is actually Son of Man, which is much more likely to denote his divinity. Stay with me here. In Daniel 7, we find a prophecy of the coming Messiah, referred to as a Son of Man. In Isaiah 9, we find that to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called, Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. So, when Jesus takes the title Son of Man, his religiously literate hearers would be in no doubt that he was claiming to be the Messiah and, by extension, God incarnate. if anyone were in any doubt, he makes the remarkable claim that he will be coming in the clouds. In Israel, at that time, and for centuries past, that would have been a clear reference to superiority over Baal. Jesus, therefore, is claiming to be the Messiah, who is God and who is superior to competing pagan deities. Pretty effective and economical communication in a few words. So, on to verses 28 to 33. This is the parable of the fig tree, which has the important message, watch the signs. The overall message works with any fruit. For instance, my first job was picking tomatoes at my family's market garden, which could account for my current abhorrence of that particular fruit. And I was trained to look for a particular slight blush in the skin of the fruit. That was the sign that it was ready for plucking. Commentaries make much of the fact that the tree in question is a fig tree. The fig tree is often a symbol of Israel in Scripture. In Hosea 9, for example, God likens Israel to the first fruit of figs. In Jeremiah 24, Israel produces good and very bad figs. In Judges 9, the fig, olive and vine have a chat and invite the thorn to be king. So, when Jesus taught about a fig tree, his prophetically literate audience would immediately know that he was talking about Israel. I don't know if this is a reference to the 1948 foundation of the modern Jewish homeland, but I don't know that it's not either. So we should watch the news for an Antichrist figure or ideology arising in the Middle East, because the generation that saw this will not pass away until the second coming. What is crucial is that I don't know. What is confusing is that Jesus didn't know. Certain groups have perverted this verse to teach that Jesus isn't God, since he isn't all-knowing. The simple answer to this objection, should you ever encounter it, is that Jesus was speaking before his crucifixion and resurrection, and thus in his finite human nature. If you can hold their attention longer, you can point to the Jewish marriage tradition that the father sets the day and hour of the wedding. Thus, if a bride or groom is asked, "When's the wedding?" they would traditionally respond exactly as Jesus did here. Only the Father knows. What any detractors will almost certainly not have noticed is that this verse contains a hierarchy. Firstly, no one knows, meaning all human people, nor angels in heaven, nor even the Son, putting the Son above angels and humans. Second, or equal, only to the Father. Here we have yet another example of Jesus' claim to divinity. So be alert. Finally, we come to verses 34 to 37, the parable of the doorkeeper. It has the same core message: keep watch. In the church, we are all different and all have different roles. Some are excellent teachers or preachers. Some are musicians. Some are inspirational servants. But some of us have been charged with watching the times and keeping the church informed. When we hear back from our mission partners, we can get a glimpse of what God is doing elsewhere in the world. When we keep in touch with prayer partners in Israel and the Middle East, we're doing the task Jesus left us with. Conversely, when we fail to support Israel when she's under attack, when we denigrate God's chosen people with anti-Semitism, when we leave off the reading of prophecy in the context of time and geography, then we are not being watchful of the times, and we will be caught off guard when the Lord returns. So I leave you with the final challenge. Let's not be a sleeping church. Let's be watching and understanding the season that we're living in. Watch the news. Avail yourselves of the lessons of history, lest we repeat them. I believe we are charged to live as though he's coming back tomorrow, but to plan as though he will wait for another 2,000 years. I leave you with Jesus' instruction in verse 37. What I say to you, I say to everyone. Watch.